The 13th Party Congress was Stalin's triumph. He was re-elected as the party general secretary, despite Lenin's wishes. What made it easier was Trotsky's presence. Everybody was aware that Trotsky tried to organize a faction. Stalin was the bulwark against Trotsky. Here is the Congress, and this is Stalin with the delegates. At that time, as you can see, he just walks with the people in Red Square. But the internal struggle continued. The people who took part in that struggle were Stalin, Kamenev, Zinoviev, Rykov, Nikolai Bukharin, Mikhail Tomsky. Stalin lashed out at his former allies in the Pravda, the party newspaper. And in August 1924, he even submitted his resignation to the Politburo. He said that he couldn't work with Zinoviev and Kamenev. Stalin was obviously trying his power. And it turned out that it was quite enough, because the letter of resignation did not even reach the Central Committee. It was discussed by a close circle of friends, including Zinoviev and Kamenev. What happened as a result was that Politburo was split. 7 members, this close circle of friends, against Trotsky. The Politburo now met separately. The 7 people, 7 members of Politburo, met separately. So Trotsky, although he was still a member of Politburo, was never invited. In January 1925, Trotsky was removed from the position of the Commissar for Military and Naval Affairs. And after that, Stalin started to attack Zinoviev. Both Zinoviev and Kamenev were incensed. And by the end of 1925, they organized a faction against Stalin, Bukharin, and Rykov. They accused the leadership of the party, meaning Stalin, Bukharin, and Rykov, in rightist deviation. They couldn't find a better accusation because there was in the party a huge dissatisfaction with the new economic policy. It seemed that the new economic policy was the return to the capitalist order. It was the return of the bourgeoisie. So there were in the party people who could sympathize with Zinoviev and Kamenev on that. Trotsky also held the same view. But when they tried to present this position to the party congress in December 1925, they suffered a crushing defeat. So you can see Stalin with his supporters here. Stalin is second from the right, and Rykov and Bukharin are on the left. Soon after the party congress, Stalin appointed Kirov as head of the Leningrad Party organization. Of course, Leningrad was how Petrograd was renamed after Lenin's death. Zinoviev's supporters were kicked out or transferred from the Leningrad Party organization. Zinoviev was the head of the Leningrad Party organization for a long time. This was Stalin's first purge of the party cadres. At that stage, none of them was arrested and none of them was executed. Soon, Zinoviev and Kamenev got together with Trotsky and organized the united opposition against Stalin, Bukharin, Rykov, and the rest of the Politburo. The opposition became a magnet for disaffected party members. But by now, Stalin had a new and powerful tool in his hands. The OGPU, the heir of the ЧК, but it was much more powerful and much more skillful now. So the OGPU penetrated secret meetings of the opposition. It watched every move of the opposition and fabricated false documents to compromise them. Stalin branded them as enemies of the party, and from June to October 1926 they were removed from Politburo. In 1927, Zinoviev and Trotsky were expelled from the Central Committee. They were not even allowed to speak at the meeting of the Central Committee. On 7th November of that year, the followers of the opposition organized a demonstration of support for Zinoviev, Trotsky, and Kamenev, but it was dispersed. This policy of suppressing the opposition so completely, Stalin explained that it was necessary for strengthening the rear, because at that time, he said, the war was imminent and the external danger was palpable. This was not only against the opposition, but against every person who was considered dangerous in the situation of external crisis. Stalin ordered arrests of former monarchists, nobility, or everybody who at some stage or another fought against the Bolsheviks in the Civil War. In June 1927, the first group of these people was executed. The 15th Congress in December 1927 sanctioned the crushing of the opposition as strengthening of the rear. So Zinoviev and Trotsky were expelled in December of that year, and Trotsky was sent to Kazakhstan and then expelled from the country. Trotsky was demonized. This, for example, you can see that absolutely dreadful mask of Trotsky. And this was an anti-Trotskyist demonstration. But that demonization lasted for the whole of the Soviet period. The 15th Party Congress was the real triumph for Stalin. At the 13th Congress, he knew that he was strong enough to be confirmed as the General Secretary. But he was not yet strong enough to get rid of his opponents. Now he was. So Stalin submitted a resignation again. Now he said that the opposition is crushed. It's time to implement Lenin's testament. But this was voted down unanimously, and Lenin's testament was forgotten for many decades to come.